Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Public Works for today, Friday, June 28, 2018.
Commissioner Garcia, James, Davis, and Caloza are present. President James, you do have a quorum. May we start with Bureau introductions, please, starting with Bureau of Sanitation.
Robert Nielsen, Bureau of Engineering.
Good morning. Victor Tercios, Bureau of Street Lighting.
Good morning. Chimeng Gong for the Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning. Angelica Samayoa with the Bureau of Contract Administration.
Good morning. Ted Jordan, Public Works General Counsel.
Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. President James, we did receive a speaker card under general public comment. We also have commentary. We also do not have any commentary under the Neighborhood Council comment section. We received speaker cards on all the items for today's regular agenda.
Okay, let's go ahead and take general public comment. Dr. Williams on general public comment.
Good morning. Dr. Tom Williams, Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community and LA 32 Neighborhood Council. Basically, thank you for a new delivery of mulch, finally, at the Mission Road free mulch facility. It's a huge pile in 2 bins, and we need more next week too, and week after, because a lot of people are starting to find the extreme benefit of mulch. It reduces our waste loads going to Bakersfield. It reduces everything, but we incorporate that into our soils. As we provide you with green waste, you provide us with mulch and local. So it saves a lot of diesel. So we'd like to encourage even more, and occasionally you bring in what is called top grow, which is actually a good compost for in the soil. So we're quite happy regarding that. There has been some things. I got a PRA request back, and it was for patching, and I'll be back in a week or so for curb cuts, because we have found that the street services don't get all of the curbs properly cut. That is, 2-inch lip, that doesn't work. And in some cases, we'll get 4 out of 5 of the curbs cut. Some cases, 3, 4 out of 4. And in one case, no cuts at all on Mission Road at Setchell and Workman. Next to the medical center, 2 intersections that don't have any curb cuts. So I'm quite concerned about that, but that's for a week or so. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on general public comment.
Yes, thank you. For the record, Arnold Ross Sachs, thank you very much. Couple things. You might be receiving bids. There might be some damage at Metro headquarters, and I must be in the right meeting today because Metro is here. There might be some damage at Metro headquarters. Some people got a little angry at me yesterday. I pointed out that they changed the rules of the meeting without notifying the public or having a public hearing. Not very, how they say kosher. I'm wondering when the Board of Supervisors goes to Washington, if any one of the sitting members visits with the Supreme Court Justice. Mark Ridley Thomas, isn't there a Supreme Court Justice with the name? I can't remember his first name, but there's a Supreme Court Justice with the last name of Thomas. I wonder if there's any connection between the two. That being said about that, CEQA, before you destroy a project, before you approve a project, CEQA on the building that's standing. The demolition causes all kinds of crap to go into the air, which everybody breathes, and it's not good for your health. Just keep that in mind when you listen to the city council or you listen to your representatives talks about how they're going to redo projects and put up new projects, and they talk about CEQA on the new project before they talk about CEQA on the old project. If you want to live in a healthy environment and a healthy community, you should do CEQA, and you should hold people responsible to make sure they do CEQA. Another thing, LA River, you can't replenish the aquifer if water is in concrete. And if you have a concrete river, then you can't replenish the aquifer, which means you have to import more water, which is very expensive, very, very nasty. Keep your eyes on the prize.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. That will close general public comment as well as the neighborhood council category of commentary. Is there a second to my motion that we approve the meeting minutes for the meeting of Friday, May 17, 2019 by Commissioners Davis and Garcia? Any objection? Without objection, we will approve those meeting minutes. And colleagues, we have a presentation this morning for our Recicla Star Awards that I will host. And so while I make my way, give me a moment to make my way around to the podium to do that, and then we'll start with our Recicla Star Awards, and then we have a special recognition for one of our employees. Good morning, everybody. What's that? Oh, I have 2 minutes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Obviously, as I said a moment ago, our Recicla Star presentation, we get to do these recognitions on occasion related to our new city program, our Recicla program, which is an important program for many reasons in the city of Los Angeles. And while single-family residents in the city have long participated in blue bin recycling, it's still new to businesses and to multifamily residential buildings that are now part of the Recicla program. And while figuring out what should and should not be recycled can be tricky if you've never done it before, we are seeing Recicla customers throughout the city that are embracing the challenge and are rising to the occasion. The Recicla Star Award program celebrates local businesses and property managers that are going above and beyond to divert materials from landfills by changing how they operate in order to achieve the highest levels of recycling that they can. And together, our efforts are paying off, as we knew they would. Since January 2018, so you're looking at about 18 months, Recicla has hit several milestones with recycling and landfill diversion. So to date, Recicla service providers have collected over 73,527 tons in the blue bin. Those are tons, not pounds. 73,527 tons. Over 4,100 tons of food has been rescued, and Recicla has replaced previous diesel trucks with 496 clean fuel trucks. All of these are huge milestones for the environmental goals of our mayoral administration and our city. So today I am pleased to present the Recicla Star Awards to two outstanding businesses that are models in how we all can successfully change our behavior to recycle more and leave less of a footprint on Mother Earth. We will start with a company that I'm sure many of you have heard of. Some of you may even be a customer. The Dollar Shave Club. The Dollar Shave Club was founded in Los Angeles, right here in LA, in 2011, and has grown into a global business that delivers razors and other grooming products direct to customers' doors. The Dollar Shave Club's corporate headquarters sets an excellent example to other businesses on how to successfully divert recycling and organics, diverting a full 64% of waste from landfills. Under the Recicla program and Athens Services Zero Waste Partnership, Athens is the RSP, obviously, it's working with them, the Dollar Shave Club's recycling programs have become more targeted and more effective. The Dollar Shave Club credits their success to a total team effort, being environmentally conscious as part of their culture, and it cascades down to their third-party service vendors and into the way that they operate every single day. They have eliminated single-use paper cups and switched to a Keep Cup program to reduce daily waste. They have incorporated sustainability as a part of the building itself. Kitchen cabinets, for example, have 3 built-in bins for trash, recycling, and compost. The 3-bin system is also in all communal areas. Employees do not have trash cans beneath their desks, and they must get up to throw away trash. By normalizing this behavior, they ensure a culture of care for the environment. Dollar Shave Club also gives back to the community with a biannual Red Cross blood drive, a partnership with a local homeless youth resource center in Venice to offer supplies, technology support, clothing and mentorship, in addition to employees sponsoring and serving lunch each month. And they sponsor an annual food and toy drive that benefits the LA Food Bank and other local organizations. And when you think about the benefit that they can do for the homeless population, just Dollar Shave Club in general, the type of material that they provide obviously is going to be beneficial. And they're a natural partner for our work on homelessness. And all of this is why we are awarding Dollar Shave Club with a Silver Recyclist Star today. So from Dollar Shave Club is it Marana, Frank? Majorana. Majorana. I was close the first time. All right, and we have a representative from Athens as well. We have a representative from Athens? Okay, so we'll let Frank, thank you, sir. Congratulations. Thank you. This is for you. We'll point it over here. And then we'll let you say a couple of words, if you would, Frank, before we bring Athens up.
Well, thank you so much, commissioners, and it's such an honor for us all to be here today. You summed it up all beautifully. I don't have much more to add other than we're extremely honored to be here and to be a Los Angeles company that is dedicated to our green initiatives and the environment and improving the quality of life for our team and lessening our footprint on the earth. So we're so honored. I'd like to thank Athens for being a great partner and Lori Garcia and her team for being here today. We're very excited to be here and so honored by this. I know our staff is going to be super pumped when we announce this back to our team. And I actually have a gift for you, Commissioner. When we recently hosted the Pride Night at the LA Football Club, we had these badges made, so I want to present one to you now today. Here you go.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're welcome. Appreciate it.
All right,
Those
thank
are
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Hey, Dollar Shave Club is one of those companies that you learn a bit about, and I don't know about you all, but I think, I wish I'd thought of that. So congratulations on your business and for doing work and staying right here in Los Angeles and for recognizing this incredible month. We'll, Commissioner Davis, we'll start with, actually we'll do both together. Let me go ahead and talk about our next honoree. Is it Prue and Proper, right? And by the way, Prue is spelled P-R-E-U-X. Prue, and for those of you on social media, Prue and Proper opened in downtown Los Angeles in 2014. The original owner, Joshua Koppel, was later joined by chef Sammy Mansour as co-partner. Prue and Proper was fully vested in the Recycla program in March of 2018, and Chef Sammy led his team to become one of the most sustainable kitchens in Los Angeles. That's hard to achieve, with help from NASA's Zero Waste team. Their diversion rate went in just over a year from 0% to 45%. So it's a real example of what you can do in Los Angeles when you're a business here and you put your mind to it. Chef Sammy Mansour has been instrumental in educating staff on food waste, recycling, and sustainability. 85% of food packaging is recycled, and the other containers are then returned to the vendor. Compost bins are located at workstations to eliminate food waste going into the garbage. Vegetable-based oil is recycled for biofuel. Dishes are prepared using methods that reduce food waste and source sustainable ingredients from farmers, ranchers, and fishermen. Chef Sammy's advocacy towards sustainability positioned him as LA's local leader for the Chefs Collaborative. a national nonprofit network that aims to make sustainable practices second nature for every chef in the United States. So obviously, Chef Sammy is paying it forward. Beyond their commitment in the kitchen, Chef Sammy and Joshua are focused on our global environment. Chef Sammy is a member of the Monterey Bay Aquarium's Blue Ribbon Task Force. Members are selected for their leadership roles in their culinary field and commitment to sustainable seafood and a healthy ocean. And Joshua served on the board of directors of the Friends of Runyon Canyon, 2013 to 2016, a nonprofit focused on protection of local Los Angeles park areas. Trees are something we, too, are extremely focused on here in the Board of Public Works, and I know that Runyon Canyon is a favorite location in the city for many that we work with every day. So today I am pleased to award Prue and Proper with the Green Recycla Star Award, and I think we have Chef Sammy here. Sammy, come on up, sir. Thank you, my man.
Really appreciate
Nice job. We'll turn this around.
Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you very much. Joshua sends his love and thanks. He's at home with a newborn, so he's got his hands full. For years, we focused on what we could do to improve what we were bringing into the restaurant, and then we started to focus on what we had going on in the restaurant in terms of our usage of energy. And we were so thrilled when Recycla started because we were finally able to access what we were missing, which was what do we do with what's leaving the restaurant. And it's so important in so many ways, and you all know that. And it's been great to work with NASA. To me, it's a very simple program. Everything is set up for success. I still hear a lot of feedback from the program and from other restaurateurs locally that there are challenges. I've always been happy to talk about what we can do to not look at them as challenges. They're actually not very difficult. There's posters, there's training. Representatives will come to your restaurant every single week until you figure it out. When we look at our orders that come in every day, at least 50% of what we're bringing into the restaurant in terms of packaging is recyclable. And to just think that all we have to do is put it in an associated color bin to solve that problem of it not going to landfill has been really amazing. And I just want to give credit due to the city and to the program, because what it's done is it's opened up a rabbit hole for the whole staff, because now we're looking at everything a little bit differently. We're looking at our food scraps differently. We're looking at plastic straws differently, going, yeah, we know that we're recycling them, but what else can we do to be more conscious of what our footprint is? So we're really grateful for this. We're grateful to get to work with the city and be in what I think is the most progressive, green-focused city in America. I know that there's a lot of things that we still want to do together, but I think we're making them happen. So thank you very much. It's a pleasure and an honor. Cheers.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, sir.
Oh, and come by the restaurant, please. You're all family. We'll take great care of you.
Always, yeah. Thank you. And we also have a representative from Athens and from NASA. You would like to say a word from Athens and from NASA? Come on up. We appreciate your partnership in this as well.
Hi, I'm Liliana. I'm the recycling coordinator that helped Dollar Shave Club get their nomination, or the Recycla Star, and I nominated them. It was pretty straightforward. They cared a lot about the environment already. Just kind of some pointers. Oh, I'm sorry. So just some kind of pointers about what was recyclable. There's still a lot of misconceptions, and just kind of helping them gear that and that kind of education. But for the most part, they're super engaged, super receptive, and I'm really happy and excited that they got their award today.
Thank you. And from NASA?
Good morning. I don't have a whole lot to add to what Sammy said. Sammy just said it perfectly. This is just a fine example of what teamwork can do. With the city's support and the customer's buy-in, our job is super easy. We appreciate that. Thank you again, Sammy, for being such a star, and this is just the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Davis, and don't leave yet for our representatives. We do want to take a group photo before we move to our next presentation. Go ahead, sir.
Great. I just want to, first of all, compliment you, President, for this recognition. I always believe that it's critically important for us to thank those companies that are doing an outstanding job in the service delivery that they provide to the constituents or citizens of Los Angeles. And so today, that's exactly what we're doing. And I'm so pleased to know that we have a collaboration with businesses who are providing a service that will help this city and also teach our residents on how we can continue to implement more sustainable practices. And so as we move forward to help create a green economy, learning these tasks that are critically important for us, to be able to effectively be able to manage our trash, and most of all, to follow the Bureau of Sanitation in helping our entire city to achieve a zero waste environment. We can do it, and today I am encouraged and I'm most proud that we are continuing to recognize companies in our city who are doing great jobs in terms of service delivery of what they're providing to our city. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, President James. I'm going to be quick, but I just want to say, first and foremost, congratulations to the Bureau of Sanitation for leading this big effort a couple years ago. I know we have reps here somewhere. I just want to say congratulations to sanitation on this program that you offer to the city, and also to NASA and Athens for educating our businesses like Dollar Shave and Prue and Proper here in the city of LA. Thank you, Prue and Proper and Dollar Shave Club, for being part not only of the city of LA, but also being part of our sustainability plan moving forward, and just being a good neighbor and a community person here for us at the city. So thank you for carrying our mission forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Caloza?
Thank you, President James. Thank you for leading today's presentation, and thank you also to Commissioner Cabello, who has also helped lead on these Recicla presentations. Adding to what my colleague said, congratulations to sanitation, the partners, Athens and NASA, for continuing to champion a program that really gives everyone an opportunity to contribute, whether or not you sell razors like the Dollar Shave Club or you sell food at Prue and Proper. This program really demonstrates how everyone has a role to play and how we become a more sustainable and green city. And hopefully by lifting up your stories and all these practices that you guys have really championed, hopefully other businesses will follow suit. So congratulations and thanks for being champions of this.
Thank you, and a round of applause for our honorees today. We'll take just a moment for a quick photograph, and then be onward with our meeting. All right, thank you. We have one more presentation. Jennifer Pope McDowell from the mayor's office can join me. Ted, you can hang on to that. Can join me with Liz Skurzat. Is Liz? Where's Liz? Come on up. Jennifer, let me come around. Colleagues, we are recognizing Liz Skurzat, who is leaving us at City Plants. Liz has worked with us directly on so many critical aspects. Come on up, Liz, a little closer, and Jennifer as well, on what became, as I said, for 2019, the year of the tree. Liz, there are so many things that you've worked on with our board and with our urban forestry division at Streets LA and with the Department of Public Works over your years at the city that we really appreciate your passion for the urban forest and for everything that you've done for us and the great leader in the environmental space, in the urban space, and in the civic space that you've been. You've really made City Plants, along with your incredible team, which is not a large team, just a few people, but people think you're a big department, which means that you're doing and you've done a great job for the city of Los Angeles, in really not only being an incredible advocate for the importance of the urban canopy, but also really kind of helping us turn the ship in the city of Los Angeles regarding our tree canopy. And one of the things, if you look at just what has occurred really in the last 12 months, from the Dudek report to the Tree Summit and to the budget success that we have had that's been coming for some time, all of those years in which you've been with us at City Plants. Liz, your record is with us is just terrific. So thank you for the incredible work that you've done for us at the City of Los Angeles. Liz told me some time ago, and you have 2 little ones at home, I've met both of them. And Liz told me about an incredible opportunity that when the moment she told me about it, I completely knew that she's going to be leaving us because you just can't blame her. So some of it has to do with the commute, but Liz, we really appreciate the incredible work that you've done for us in the city of Los Angeles and really for our region. And from the mayor's office, we have Jennifer Pope McDowell, who has some things to say, and then we have some whereas clauses that in city tradition, we will take turns reading off in honor of you, okay?
Thank you, President James, and good morning, Commissioners. It's an honor to be here today to celebrate the legacy of Liz Skurzat and the green legacy that she's left here in the city, one that you can very visibly and tangibly see as you go out and about around the city. It's just such amazing work that you've done, particularly under the tenure of the Mayor Garcetti's administration, really leaving a green footprint here in this city. And as President James put so well, not just the trees that have grown into beautiful canopy, but also the many seeds that you've planted for this city to really have a fantastic urban forestry legacy to come. We really owe those to you. So,
well, Jennifer started with the puns. You talked about planting a seed. Well, she is turning over a new leaf. And we could go back and forth with these really all day. But one of the things I did want to add before we take turns on the few whereas clauses that we have is that when I started my job now almost exactly 6 years ago in July of 2013, Ron Lorenzen from the Urban Forestry Division came up to me even before we had our first meeting and said, the tree issues will be the most emotional issues from the constituents that you will experience. And he was exactly right. And you have worked in that space, which is important for people every single day, and we really appreciate it. So I'll start with the first one, and then you can take the second one, and we'll finish up. Whereas, during her 7 years with City Plants, Elizabeth Skurzat has transformed streets and neighborhoods and helped to grow a more sustainable and resilient Los Angeles. And
whereas Elizabeth Skurzat's leadership through City Plants and passionate vision, underscore the passionate vision, for a greener future has mobilized countless Angelinos to plant and care for trees throughout the city of Los Angeles. And
whereas Elizabeth Skurzat's dutiful perseverance allowed City Plants to blossom into a thriving organization that helps plants and distributes over 20,000 trees a year. And
whereas Elizabeth Skurzat played a critical role in collaborating with 6 nonprofit partners and several different LA City departments, including the Department of Water and Power, Department of Recreation and Parks, Bureau of Street Services, or Streets LA, Bureau of Sanitation, and
whereas Elizabeth Skurzat led City Plants Collaborative in planting 100,000 trees in the city of Los Angeles and significantly increased the tree canopy in communities that need it the most. And
whereas Elizabeth Skurzat fostered critical urban forestry partnerships throughout the city of Los Angeles, the state of California, and with the United States Forest Service. And
whereas Elizabeth Skurzat has been a critical leader in creating a more sustainable Los Angeles by maximizing the benefits of our urban forest, such as energy efficiency, stormwater capture, human health benefits, and climate adaptation benefits.
Now, therefore, we, on behalf of Eric Garcetti, Mayor of the City of Los Angeles, and on behalf of its residents, do hereby commend Elizabeth Skurzat, whose accomplishments and achievements in her term of service are of lasting gain to the city.
The podium is yours.
Y'all made me cry. Thank you. I want to say that it's the dream of my generation to be able to, through their careers, have a lasting positive good in the world. And I feel like one of the luckiest people to have been able to live that dream for these last 7 years. And I want to thank you all, to thank the Board of Public Works, and to thank Mayor Eric Garcetti and his office for saying yes and for taking a chance on me. And, you said yes and allowed me to create the new justification for funding 100,000 trees and counting in our nation's second largest city, and continue to make the program work from one administration to another. And most tree planting programs do not survive that transition. And I think that it is to all of your credit that you saw that you had a really good thing and continue to invest in it and to invest in us. And I want to thank the nonprofit partners who have been working to plant trees since I was in high school under this program. They are incredible community advocates who have built such a legacy, and I'm proud to be a part of it. There's really no greater meaning in someone's work life to know that what you put in this earth will be breathing long after you're gone. And I also want to thank you guys for saying yes on a lot of crazy ideas. And especially, when I came and said, we might have money to start a UFMP. We don't have money to finish it, but I might be able to get money to start it. Will you help us? And you said yes. And it wasn't easy. Thank you. And
I also want to thank the departments that we worked with. LADWP has been amazing. Rec and Parks, the UFD, and LA Sanitation. I've learned so much from all of the people who work in City Hall and from all of the people who partner with City Hall to plant trees. I want to thank the Conservation Corps, KYCC, Northeast Trees, LA Beautification Team, A Cleaner Greener East LA, and Tree People. They're all incredible. And I also want to thank my team. Rachel O'Leary brought the UFMP project home. Go, Rachel. Elizabeth Howergy schedules 200 tree adoption events every single year. That's no small task. And Jimmy Gomez is tasked with making the entire program look competent when people call in for questions. And that's a very critical role that he plays. So I just want to say thank you to this incredible family of people. It has been an honor and a pleasure working with every single one of you. And I've learned so much, and I'm so glad that all of the hard work that we've all been doing for the past several years are finally bearing fruit. So I got to get a pun in there too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz. Commissioner Davis? Oh, don't go anywhere yet.
Yes, not yet, Liz. Liz, I want to thank you for the legacy. You mentioned the incredible work that others who've worked with you have done. But I think now is the appropriate time for us to underscore how incredible the work that you have done is to the city of Los Angeles. City Plants, under your leadership, has been an outstanding partner in collaboration with other stakeholders. And the legacy that you have left for 100,000 trees is such a great and outstanding contribution to the Garcetti administration in general, but to all of the residents in Los Angeles in particular. And there have been many efforts to put 100,000 trees through an administration and to see that we have absolutely done it. You leave a legacy, and when you look back on your front porch and rocking that chair, you can look back with pride. And again, I might be remiss if I did not say what a pleasure it is to work with you as a person with such a pleasant and positive personality. Whenever you would come by our office to talk about what we needed to do to help City Plants, we did it willingly because we were encouraged by how nice you were to us. Not that people are always nice to commissioners, but you were particularly pleasant to work and pleasing to work with. And again, you should be extremely proud of this legacy that you leave to the administration and to our city. Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, President James. I want to, Liz, I'm going to ditto what Commissioner Davis just said because he's absolutely right. You were like shining all the time when you would come and talk to us about what you were doing, how you wanted us to be part of what you were doing. So I'm going to miss that. I'm going to miss talking to you when you came by on the hallway and just kind of getting to know you and getting to know your family, which you have a baby just recently, right?
Yeah.
So he's back there too. So I know that your decision was well thought out, and always having your kids in the forefront. And that, as a mother, we always tend to make decisions that way. So congratulations, you left a good legacy here, and whoever's taking you now, I know you'll dedicate your passion and your work there too. So I'm sure that city will also benefit from your work and everything else. But we were first. We were always first. I'm gonna miss you. I want to say you really held a good Arbor Day this past year out in Van Nuys. You were full on pregnant with, and we were planting trees. It was super hot, but you and your team led such a fantastic event, and that was not the only one. You do that throughout the whole year. You were along with a lot of our events that we put together, and your staff is there happy, promoting the trees, very knowledgeable, and very excited to serve the community. And we hope to keep that going. So thank you for your time, Liz. Congratulations, and you will be missed.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcia. Commissioner Caloza?
Hi, Liz.
Hi.
This is actually the first time we're meeting.
Yes.
because I missed you before you left, and I'm just so sad that I'm not going to be able to work with you. Even just meeting with your team, when they gave me a briefing on the work that you guys do, you know, they just couldn't speak highly. They couldn't stop speaking so highly of you, and really what a champion you are for the community, for communities that don't have, you know, a lot of trees that we maybe take for granted in other areas of the city. You know, you have transformed this city for the better, and you will leave a big hole for the city to fill in terms of who's going to take over for you. You know, I know whatever you continue to do next, you'll be amazing at, and we'll continue to support you along the way. Thank you for all that you've done and all that you're going to do, because I'm sure we'll see you again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And let me just close, Liz. I know I got the chance to speak already, but by thanking you for setting us up for success in the coming year, which will be another year of the tree, which we enter 2020, which I know that already is going to be the case. But your organization and that of your team of numerous nonprofit and community organizations related to the Urban Canopy has been critical and has left us with, pun intended, just a great platform from which to spring. So thank you very much. And with that, Liz, thank you for your time. We want one group photo with you, and then we'll return to our agenda. We have a couple of hearings and authorities for expenditure we'll take care of. Okay, we've got a couple of items, many items with speaker cards. Let's take the authority for expenditure related to city plants first, in honor of Liz's time here. And then we have an above ground and AGF appeal, agenda item number 6, that we will do as well. Agenda item number 7, authority for expenditure, community partners for city plants. Board of Public Works, Executive Officer and Office of Accounting request board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $100,000 to pay the second and final installment to community partners for city plants for energy savings data management, sampling, and reporting relative to the tree planting initiative Year 2 services in accordance with the fiscal years 2017-2018 Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Public Works and Los Angeles Department of Water and Power. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 7. Mr. Sachs waives number 7. Mr. Campos on number 7.
Thank you, Mr. President. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. Commissioners, the item before you is an authority for expenditure to allow us to pay our bills to City Plants. City Plants is a tremendous partner, as you witnessed today before you with the presentation. This AFE will allow us to make the last and final payment for the fiscal year 17-18 Memorandum of Understanding between the Board of Public Works and the Department of Water and Power. Just quickly, the services that City Plants provided over the last 2 years has been about energy savings, data management, sampling, and also reporting tasks. As the item before you provides a scope of work in attachment number 1, community partners, City Plants, has allowed us to not only help with our tree planting, they've also have been calculating our energy savings that have been produced from our tree planting efforts. So therefore, this item will allow us to make that last and final payment for $100,000 to City Plants.
Any questions? The partnership with the Department of Water and Power and City Plants has been a long one. Any questions regarding this latest authority for expenditure? No questions. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 7, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 7. Any issue sending 7 forthwith? We'll send 7 forthwith. Thank you all. Agenda item number 12, authority for expenditure, John C. Rasmussen, doing business as the Pond Company. Sanitation and Office of Accounting are requesting approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $29,850 or an adjusted amount of $49,750 to pay the Pond Company to provide continued vital upkeep and maintenance services of the Echo Park Lake. Services include, but are not limited to, collection, disposal, and cleanup of giant apple snails and eggs, removal and disposal of unwanted floating and submerged vegetation, and cleanup and disposal of floating trash and debris. The authority for expenditure term dates are from January 1, 2019 to June 30th, 2019, so we are at the end of the first half of this, the second half, I should say, of the 18-19 fiscal year. Gordon Haynes. I'm sorry, Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 12. Go ahead, sir. My apology.
Not a problem, sir. Thank you very much. For the record, Arnold Ross Sachs. What I'm really concerned about with this item is the fact that you're spending $1,000 a week for lake cleanup. That's a lot of money. For 7 days, it's over $150 a day. 8 hours, do the math, that's $20 an hour. I mean, it works out sometimes, but sometimes it doesn't.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Haynes.
Good morning, Commissioners and Board Representatives. Gordon Haynes, Bureau of Sanitation. This is authority for expenditure to complete the services for this fiscal year for Echo Park Lake. Pond Company is there every week doing the in-lake cleanup. Since the project, the Propo-funded project to rehabilitate the lake completed in 2013, we did 3 years of optimization, and we're now in O&M. So we need in-lake services, such as specialized services, such as the Pond Company provides. They are there every week for an 8-hour day, approximately 6 people in the lake, clearing things like the trash that comes into the lake from the park, the algae that builds up, and as well as apple snails, invasive species, and the like. It's a stormwater detention facility, so that's why sanitation is involved. We collaborate with Rec and Parks as well as our own WCSD, our maintenance services, to maintain the mechanical and the park parts of it, but the in-lakes services that the Pond Company provides is something that the city currently needs as contracted services, and they're doing a great job, and we want to keep them until we can get another mechanism in place. So this AFB will get us through the next few weeks to complete their services for this year, and then we'll continue it with another AFE for the coming fiscal year.
Okay, how long have we been using the Pond Company, Mr. Gaines?
So it's been about 5 years. We used them through optimization phase and now into O&M. Yeah.
Okay. And have the monthly costs, are they generally stagnant, steady, or do we see ebbs and flows, peaks and valleys?
No, we have. We've actually reduced the costs. We've reduced the costs significantly since in the last 3 years because there were services that were not needed. We found that we could get by with a lot of reduced attention to certain things, and other things needed more attention. But we kind of did better at targeting their services to what was needed, and also getting help from Rec and Parks as well as other partners to reduce certain impacts to the lake, such as trash going into the lake from the park. So it does ebb and flow, but we've kept it steady. Their services every week that don't vary that much from day to day, except in the rainy season. In the rainy season, we have a little bit more effort there.
Thank you. Commissioner Caloza.
Just a quick question. Have we ever performed any of this work in-house previously?
I think before the Echo Park Lake Rehabilitation Project, it was performed at intermittent intervals by Rec and Parks staff. But since the Propo funded project was taken on by, it's been taken on by sanitation.
And for other lakes and ponds, the cleanup is always it's always sourced outside?
You wouldn't be able to speak to many other lakes and ponds. The only other one we have under our jurisdiction, because it's a regulated lake, is Machado Lake, but the other parks are under Rec and Park, so I can't really speak to that, what they do.
Have we ever assessed what the cost would be if it would be cheaper to do in-house as opposed to funding it outside?
We're doing that now. Yeah, we're in the process of weighing the benefits of city staff doing the work. We'd have to train them and get them on board if possible, versus doing a bid and award process.
Okay.
So we're in the process.
And what point do you guys expect to be finished with that analysis?
Probably this year.
Okay.
By the end of this year. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza. Seeing no other questions, I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 12, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 12. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 12 forthwith? We will send number 12 forthwith. That will take us to agenda item number 6. Council District 5, Bureaus of Engineering, above ground facility appeal, 8055 West 3rd Street. Recommending that the board deny Continental Management Group's appeal of the Bureau of Engineering determination to locate the above ground facility adjacent to 8055 West 3rd Street. Now, I've got a number of cards on this from Verizon as well as the appellant. So let's start with the Bureau of Engineering. We'll set us up, and then we will hear from both sides and ask questions accordingly. Mr. Masuda.
Good morning. Matt Masuda from Central District of Bureau of Engineering. I'm Senior Civil Engineer. On February 4th, on February 4th, 2019, MD7 on behalf of Verizon Wireless submitted an above-ground facilities installation, or AGF, installation application to install an electric meter pedestal in the public right-of-way adjacent to 8055 West 3rd Street. As part of their application, they included proof that the necessary notification letters were sent out on January 29th, 2019 to Council District 5, the Mid-City West Neighborhood Council, and property owners of the adjoining lot, abutting lot, and lots across the public right-of-way. We, the Bureau of Engineering, reviewed MD7's application and performed a site investigation. We determined that all of the AGF requirements of Los Angeles Municipal Code Section 62.08 were met, and that we could recommend the approval of this application. On March 27, 2019, we sent out second notification letters to the abutting, adjacent, and across the street property owners, along with Council District 5 and the Mid-City West Neighborhood Council, indicating that the site met the requirements of the AGF ordinance. We received an appeal on April 4th, 2019, opposing the AGF installation from Continental Management Group, LLC, which represents the property owners of 8049 to 8055 West 3rd Street. A hearing was held on May 21st, 2019, with Commissioners Caloza and Garcia, Continental Management Group, Verizon, and the Bureau of Engineering, and it was determined that Continental Management Group's arguments were not compelling enough to recommend that Verizon's proposed electric meter pedestal be relocated to another location. Therefore, we recommend that the board deny this appeal. President James, if you'd like, I can recite all 13 of the objections from Continental Management. along with the responses, or I could let them speak on their
It's in the
behalf.
board report. I've read them. Is there anything is there anything that you would add that's not in the board report?
No.
Okay. Then let's take the speaker cards on the item and we'll conduct the hearing. Don't go far, Mr. Masuda. We may have more questions for you, of course. I would just confirm for the record that both Commissioners Caloza and Garcia participated in the preliminary hearing. That's correct? And you both reached agreement on your recommendations in the board report? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Masuda. Mr. Sachs, you have in a card on number 6?
Yes, thank you again. For the record, Honorable Ross Sachs. You guys are aces, by the way. I got to tell you, you guys are really aces. So this is a cell phone tower, and you had a preliminary hearing. Was the Continental Management Group at the preliminary hearing for this item? Because we've heard a few things. If they weren't at the preliminary hearing, were they notified? Was the group they represent? I believe the man mentioned that the area addresses were notified. Would it be the responsibility of those addresses to notify the management group that represents them to come to the preliminary hearing? I'm not sure. But if we could get some answers to those questions, it might help you make a decision. Me, I'm not really for Verizon cell phone towers. Did they check to see if they have other cell phone towers in the area? And I believe there was a court case in Palos Verdes about some people who wanted to put a cell phone tower up, and a judge ruled against the company, the cell phone company, saying that the aesthetics weren't necessary in Rolling Hills or Palos Verdes, something like that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Just for the record, it's not a cell phone tower. It's a cabinet of sorts. Yes, the preliminary hearings always take place with the appellant, otherwise we wouldn't have them. We have the appellant. We can speak first, Mr. Rapinski. And just so you know, Mr. Rapinski, if you have someone else that you want to speak with you, that's up to you. We don't put a time limit on our real parties in interest. We only ask that if you repeat yourself, then I'll interject. But for the real parties in interest, we don't put the 2-minute time limit on. So the floor is yours.
I'll be as quick as possible. Good morning, commissioners and staff members. My name is Yuri Rapinski, and I'm with Continental Management Group. Continental Management Group has been a proud property owner and developer in the city of Los Angeles for over 35 years. It's a family business. My children are in the business now, and we own the property adjacent to where the proposed power box is going, as well as the cell phone antenna on the power pole. And I just want to briefly go over the high points of the appeal letter that we prepared. I think the most notable is that Verizon's plans are defective, and therefore the notices that went out to the public are wrong. And the reason for it is because on the front page of the plans that Verizon submitted, they identify the pole owner to be the Southern California Joint Pole Committee, who we've attempted to contact several times, and the evidence is in the exhibits to the letter. And this owner, the purported owner, the Southern California Joint Pole Committee, has denied that they were the owners of the power pole, and as a matter of fact said on at least 2 occasions that they had no knowledge of this proposal or the plans at all. So we were not able to talk to the power pole owner, and as a result, the request for the Bureau of Engineering to approve a power box on the public right-of-way on the sidewalk, blocking part of the sidewalk, is effectively like issuing a blank check to nothing. What would the power box be for if not to power up a cell antenna on a pole that no one knows the property owner of? I think most importantly is that the fact that the plans are defective and the fact that no one can locate the property owner of the power pole is a violation of the Brown Act. All of the notices that were read into the record as having been given are defective. That alone should be the basis for supporting our appeal and denying the recommendation to deny the appeal. The reason that I'm here, as I explained to Verizon and to the Bureau of Engineering, is because we have assembled the entire block over the past 5 years, and our intention is to redevelop the block into a mixed-use project of ground floor retail and commercial, and above that, residential. And in doing that, we're obviously going to need to put all the utilities and power poles underground. Well, part of that is going to be then to contact Verizon, try to find out who the pole owner is, try to get back to Verizon and ask them to relocate the very cell antenna that we're now suggesting that they don't put there in the first place. And that's going to cause a lot of delay and a lot of expense to us. We're right now, as a matter of fact, on another property in Echo Park, attempting to contact Verizon to relocate a cell antenna on that property, and we're going on about month number 5 of getting absolutely nowhere. I did not bring our correspondence on this other property, of course, because it's not pertinent, but I'm more than happy to share that with the commissioners if they so desire. So who knows how long it would take us and what delays it would cause us to do something that's easily curable, but just putting it somewhere else that can be a permanent location. And as a matter of fact, we have offered to Verizon that if they find a temporary location nearby, we're happy to locate them on the roof of a new project as soon as it's built. Problem solved. So this all could have been avoided if Verizon contacted the adjoining property owners before they prepared and filed the plans. And I told this to Verizon, and their response was basically, well, we're just following the code, we're not obligated to do that. So any expense or time delay that Verizon is claiming they're incurring as a result of their appeal is essentially their own doing. If they had contacted us, we would not even be taking the board's time today. This would have been a solved issue. And just as importantly, Verizon didn't do any study of other alternatives for the site. We have photographs and aerials, if the commission would care to see them, on how many power poles there are and how many other structures there are within a block, 2 blocks, 3 blocks of this location that could have been alternative sites that they could have easily chosen if they didn't want to go through this process. None of that was studied or offered at all. So the time and expense that Verizon has gone through to prepare the plans and choose this location cannot be something that should be held against us for wanting to go ahead and develop our property and not want to incur the delays. And finally, I think it's important to note that Verizon is not harmed by this at all. If the appeal were upheld, Verizon has, I don't know, about 20 other power poles within 2-3 blocks to relocate to, and not to mention rooftops, and not to mention our offer to give them a permanent space once our building is built. So I just don't see why our appeal would not be upheld given the time and cost delays for any development project, particularly with residential units being added, where there's virtually no harm to Verizon, and any cost or time delay that Verizon might take exception to was their own doing for not having approached us earlier or looked at other alternative sites. If you'd like, I can touch on the remainder of the points in our appeal, but those are the highlights.
So I have a couple of questions regarding the development, the future development of the site. And I've read what's in the board report, but Mr. Rapinski, what's the time frame of the development going forward? In other words, because I'm going to hear from Verizon and from engineering on what the purpose of the above-ground facility is, what services it's going to provide, but what's your time frame? Because they may say, well, it's still worth it for he's a year out, he's 2 years out, whatever it is.
We're about 3 to 4 months out from filing our plans with the city. So on a conservative basis, I would say 2.5 to 3 years. However, respectfully again to Verizon, we've just killed 8 months doing this.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Rapinski? Commissioner Coloza?
So the current building you have now, when was it constructed? Because it looks like a fairly new building, right?
So we own the entire block, which consists of the 8055 building, which is directly adjoining the proposed location for the box, and also the office building on the other half of the block. And both of those buildings are initially built in the 50s and 60s, but we did remodel them when we first acquired them, depending on which property, within the last 5 to 6 years.
Okay. So they've been remodeled in the last 5 to 6 years, and you're going to remodel them again?
Correct. We signed we only have short-term leases on the office building, and the leases that we have on 8055 are all expiring within the next 3 years or so in any event, and that was our plan.
And can you confirm for the record, were you guys, did you have a representative attending the pre-hearing that we had with me, Commissioner Garcia?
Yes, I was not able to attend. Teresa Garza from our office did attend, and I believe she read some of the highlights into of our letter to the board.
Okay. But as of today, you have no permits filed for your potential new development, correct?
That's correct. A mixed-use project of this size takes quite a bit of time.
I don't have any further questions for.
Okay, thank you. No further question, Mr. Rapinski. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Don't go far. Okay, I also have Abdul Jama, and it appears to be Daisy Kimpang. Mr. Jama first. Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
Great.
I just want to reiterate that we met the AGF requirements for this meter pedestal.
Are you a representative of Verizon?
For MD7, we're application agent for Verizon Wireless.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Okay. Yes, we met the AGF requirements for this meter pedestal. We notified the abutting and adjacent properties, and we informed the appellant of the proposed meter pedestal installation. And yeah, I just want to thank the BOE AGF group for compiling this board report for you guys. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jama. Ms. Kimpang? Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Daisy Wikimpang. I'm here on behalf of Verizon Wireless on item number 6. First of all, I want to thank you all for the opportunity to speak in front of you today. Secondly, I would like to thank the staff at BOE for all the hard work that they've put in on all these projects. We appreciate the consideration of our project. Basically, I would just like to state that Verizon Wireless has followed all the requirements that the city has as far as procedures, as well as notifications that are needed. We carefully review every single location that we select as far as the network needs and as far as what could be the least intrusive location for this above ground facility. So specifically for the meter pedestal. And other than that, I'm here to answer any questions that you have.
Thank you. A few questions, if I might. Some of these will be hypothetical and may call for some speculation, but that would still be helpful for us. Regarding the potential for co-location, you heard the appellant say that there may be other, well, actually, let's start with this. What type of services will this above-ground facility item be supplementing or be providing?
Specifically, the pedestal itself is to provide electrical service to the co-location that's happening on the utility pole. But for this particular consideration, it's for the above-ground pedestal for power meter.
Okay. And what other, and I know that this may have already been subject to or come up in the preliminary hearing, but we're in this hearing now, and
Sure.
I wasn't part of the preliminary hearing. So what were some of the other possible options for Verizon for locating this apparatus, either across the street, a block away, around the corner, those kinds of things?
Usually we try to keep as close to the pole where we're attaching the antennas to so that we have the least intrusive means of digging through the ground. So this particular pedestal is about 5 feet away from the pole, which would mean very minimal work on the ground itself, and being closer to the pedestal is ideal. So we do look at that as options. And just so, just for the sake of discussion too, Verizon, this is our last resort. Putting an above-ground meter pedestal is the last resort, which means our teams have exhausted all the different options to provide power to this location.
And what are some of the other options that were exhausted?
Usually we look at above-ground fiber, we look at overhead lines, we look at pretty much whatever SCE or LADWP would give us as options.
Okay, and I'm not sure if this question is for you or Mr. Masuda, but let's assume for a moment, this is the hypothetical part, that Mr. Rapinski's project is built.
Right.
Once the project is built, or is permitted to be built, at some point, according to him, the utility, the above-ground facility that we're talking about today is going to have to be taken out.
Possibly relocated, is that what you're saying?
Or relocated.
Okay.
So my question is kind of twofold. One, how often, is that something that Verizon does related to other development projects in the city? And if so, is it what would be an estimate of the cost of such a movement?
Okay, so to the first part, we have done different relocations, either if we're on private property, if a landlord has a need, and we work with that landlord specifically. But being that this is in the public right-of-way, we would work with the city. It's not something we prefer because it would entail not just the pedestal itself, but possibly looking at what it would do to impact the pole and the service that pole provides in the area, the antennas. As far as the cost, that is a huge range. I can't even speculate that because it would vary depending on if we had to do any change on the actual pole, the antennas, not just the pedestal, how far we'd have to go, where we would need to trench. I mean, there's the studies that need to happen prior to that. There's like multiple layers that I can't even begin to give you a dollar amount to that.
Thank you, but your answer does raise another question. There's already electric infrastructure there.
For what is there, yes, but not for the attachment that we're going to be doing, the utility pole, which is not what we're here today.
Understood. But assuming Mr. Rapinski's project goes forward, there's still going to have to be some work done, even if we don't move on this today, even if he's successful today, hypothetically, there would still be some cost involved in dealing with the adjacent utilities, I'm assuming. That's not really a question for you as much as it is for the Bureau of Engineering. But Mr. Masuda, so back to, I'm trying to get a sense of a couple of things. If we allow if we deny the appeal and allow the above-ground facility to go into place, it's going to be operative for some period of time. Mr. Rapinski has told us that he's got a development that's going to be coming in there. So there's going to have to be some movement of something that we could avoid right now by maybe moving around the corner or across the street or something like that. So why shouldn't we just save the effort and cost and potential headache by moving it now rather than later? One, I would like BOE's thought on that. And two, right now we don't have any plans filed by Mr. Rapinski's company. We haven't had, and I know that the hearing was held on May 21st. His appeal was back on April 4th. Yes, developments take time in the city of LA, but at some point we still need to continue to provide services. So go ahead.
Okay, I'll attempt to answer your question. But, under the AGF process, we only look at what is existing now. We don't look at what is proposed because we don't know exactly what's going to be there. So we just look at if they meet all the requirements for the AGF at this moment in time with the existing facilities, then we're bound to issue the permit.
This is in all of the, Mr. Jordan, you can help me out here, and Commissioner Davis as well, but we're about to start year 7 since I've been in this role, and we've done a lot of these above-ground facility appeals over the years, many of them. I don't think we've had one where a developer has come in and said, hey, we're about to develop this area, why don't you guys hold off? Do you recall
This is a first for me. I don't recall that we've had one where a property owner has said, in the future they plan on doing a development.
Yeah.
The report does address that. I mean, and
I know.
concur with staff. I also want to point out, just for the record, the location was picked, and it's a red zone there. So unlike other situations where a cabin is put in a parkway space where it can have the potential for interfering with parking, they did pick a location that is in a red zone.
This one doesn't. Commissioner Davis?
The question is, with this information and communication with everybody and all the stakeholders involved, can we make a decision that's in the best interest of everybody involved? In other words, can we save money for perhaps the Verizon company in terms of having to move it back, 4 or 5 months from now? And what benefit will it be for other stakeholders in this whole situation? So the information that is being communicated to us certainly ought to be considered in a way that we can find out if it would be in the best financial interest of us to just move it to another place where this potential challenge in a couple of months might not come up. I mean, I don't know if there are other locations where they can move it or not, but I think that this information is critically important if the outcome can be that we can save someone a potential problem in the future.
I hear that, but I also don't want to. I don't want to deny services to the area as well for the period of time. Could I, if I might, hear from Commissioners Garcia and/or Caloza on the preliminary hearing and what you heard there and what your thoughts are? I think that would be instructive to us as well. So, Commissioner Caloza?
Thank you, President James. And just to reiterate again to Commissioner Davis's point, I think we're very sympathetic, and I think as a city have been very supportive of developments and investments coming into the city. But I think in this specific case, from what we heard at the hearings and from what the BOE staff have demonstrated and also done thorough analysis on, is that, the city has no proof yet that a development is going to be there. No permits have been filed, which is required for this development. And so, it's an interesting case in that, we're saying, trust us, this will come, but yet, as a city, right, we have to act on the information that we have currently. And I do believe that BOE worked very thoroughly to work with Verizon to ensure that, as what was mentioned, this was really the last option. Mr. Matsuda, can you also just confirm for the record who actually gives the authority to companies like Verizon to put up above-ground facilities?
The Board of Public Works has the authority to.
Or isn't the authority given to them by the FCC?
I can speak to that. The California Public Utilities Code, Section 7901, grants companies such as Verizon the right to install their equipment in the public right-of-way, subject to the city's ability to regulate, in effect, the time, place, and manner in which they do it. The authority to be there comes from essentially a franchise granted by the state.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Jordan. And so the city, Mr. Jordan, can only dictate time, place, and manner?
Yes.
Okay. And if... actually, I'll defer to Commissioner Garcia. I don't know if you have any additional thoughts to add.
Thank you. Commissioner Garcia?
Thank you, President Commissioner Caloza. We did have a preliminary hearing about this situation. I'm probably the most advocate on co-location and not having to have an AGF, so this is something that I really look into all the time. And in this case in particular, as we went through the preliminary hearing and the briefings and the plans that were submitted, one of the things that made us move towards allowing this AGF to move forward and on the place that Verizon's suggesting is because it's not impacting anybody's view. It's not impacting the parking space. It's not really impacting anybody's public right-of-way. And so as far as I'm not a big advocate on breaking ground and putting a new piece of furniture on the streets, I understand the need and the regulations that come from the federal where that this type of service has to be put into public right-of-way. So that was one of the reasons why we were okay with letting this one go through. The other reason was that no plans have been submitted officially, and we asked that during our hearing, have the plans have been submitted, and there hasn't. So we can't go based on what is going to happen, we just go based on what's happening now. And this was one of the things that helped me make the decision to allow this AGF to move forward. I don't know if we asked if there was any other possible place to put it. Verizon said there wasn't. We exhausted that conversation to the fullest extent, and I am the person that really goes through that conversation all the way, and there wasn't any other possible way to put this. So those were the reasons why we agreed that we should move forward with this AGF and this request.
I had a point of clarification.
Commissioner Davis.
The issue as it relates to being in the red zone, I wanted to ask our city attorney, is that our practice to put these projects in the middle of the red zone, and does that present a challenge?
Well, we don't choose the location, the telecom provider does. I know that there was already an existing utility pole there. I pointed it out only because in the past we have had concerns raised by property owners that the AGF can interfere with ingress and egress to vehicles that are parked alongside the curb. So I just pointed it out because it wasn't discussed, but I saw in the photograph that was in the board report that it did happen to be a red zone there.
Right, okay. Well, I think that's something
There's no prohibition for it to be there. It's the Bureau of Engineering's responsibility to look at the location and to ensure that it's not going
we
to
could put it there.
interfere.
It's not our best practice to have it there, though, because we don't necessarily always put them in front of red zones. When possible, we try to put it in an area that is not a red zone. Is that pretty correct?
Well, again, we don't put them there. The telecom provider does.
I'm talking about the vendor, in this case, Verizon.
They could speak to that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Rapinski, yes. So thank you, Mr. Masuda, and thank you, Ms. Kimpang. Mr. Rapinski, you'd like to respond. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just want to say one thing. I think that the comment that I'm hearing from Verizon, that they've exhausted all alternatives and it's a now or never scenario, is a bit disingenuous. When we met with Bureau of Engineering and Verizon at the site, before we sent in the appeal letter, we offered Verizon the opportunity to put the antenna on our existing rooftop now. And of course, when we demolished the building, we relocated and put back in the new building. And we would not be here today if they were willing to do that. There would be no discussion of a power box on the sidewalk, no discussion of red zone or no red zone, no discussion of needing to be 5 feet from a power pole. And I'm sorry, I just don't buy this whole thing that it's a now or never scenario. We told Verizon, you're welcome to put it on our roof right now, and that will necessitate you playing along with us for the relocation when we demolish the building. I just don't understand why Verizon can't do it correctly the first time.
Commissioner Davis.
Okay, and I hear Mr.
Rapinski.
Rapinski, I understand your testimony and remarks here, but my question for you as it relates to the development that is going to take place in the area, in terms of any action to that end, has there been a filing or inquiry, and what kind of action, if at all, has taken place as it relates to that?
Well, we've hired the architect, and we've been doing the plans for the project, and we're now getting ready to submit it to a preliminary plan check review with the city, which should be hopefully in about 2 months from now, and that will be the kickoff process for actually finishing up the construction drawings based on what they say, and then we file.
Now, one of the concerns I had as a commissioner is the integrity of what we do, and the fact that people do present to us, and what they have said has been true, and that they have requested a permit, and that there is nothing that we see, even though we have heard, but we've not been able to see anything, in fact, that prevents us from giving them the appropriate response that they deserve from us, which is approval, because there's no permit that we can see in the way, even though we've heard. We hear a lot of things all the time, but we can't make a decision based upon that.
I got it. And so what I'm hearing from the commissioners is there's no plan filed. If we hold off with Verizon, how do we know that it will not be to their detriment? How do we know that the property owner is actually going to file the plans ever? And then meanwhile, what does everyone do for service?
Why should we deny them the decision that they deserve in the time in which they've applied for such an action?
I got it. And what I said to Verizon when we met on the site is, there's an existing building, we own it, it's permitted, no further applications necessary, no further plans necessary. You don't need to take my word that we're going to do another development. You can put it on the roof tomorrow. So that's my point. They're not adversely harmed in any way. We wouldn't even need to be here if they just did that.
So
Thank you. I'd like to hear from Verizon as to why they won't put it on private property.
So just to explain, whenever we do a site selection, it's usually about a year or two process. So we literally look at every option in that location based on the network, based on what type of installation works best, whether it be a rooftop or on a utility pole. So we do a very thorough investigation of that, which the landlord may not be aware of. So prior to us even submitting this permit, we've already expended and gone through the different types of installations that could happen. So based on the network needs today for this area, the utility pole is where we've identified to be the best location to serve this location. Now, the suggestion on the antennas is outside the scope of what we're discussing here today. We are here for the pedestal, which is literally 4 foot high and 16 inches wide, which is the least intrusive option that we could
That's a
come up
different piece of equipment than what's being offered to go on the building.
with. Exactly.
Does that mean that you could still choose, if you choose to, go on the building with the other part?
It's not a choice in that sense, sir. We do look at, we have like complicated systems that we run through to see at a certain height where the antennas would shoot for. But this particular project that we're here for today is for the pedestal to serve that location. His suggestion is for the antennas. And this is not what we're here for today. And you know, we appreciate his concerns. We communicated with them via notification. We were at the appeal. We are trying to build a network to be ready for the future of LA. The network's going to be ready for the Olympics that's coming up, for Super Bowl. We have all these things that are happening. This area is important to us, and this is why we cannot delay the project further.
Okay. Mr. Rapinski, last time. Go ahead. You get the last word.
Last time. We are here talking about the box. What I'm saying is that there is no need for a power box on the public right-of-way if we all understand the power box is there to bring electricity up a power pole where they're putting a cell phone antenna. We're saying if they put the cell phone antenna on our private property, there's no need for a power box on public right-of-way. It'll be on our private property.
Well, I wonder why they didn't address that in their remarks just a minute ago.
Well, my concern is, my understanding, Ms. Kimpeng, is that there's a difference between the equipment of the antenna on his property and the power box that's the cabinet that's on the ground. Verizon is the one to determine, with all due respect to Mr. Rapinski, Verizon's the company that does this type of business. They're the ones that we need to rely on what kind of equipment they need in the area. Would you put the power box, do you still need the power box if you put the antenna on his property? I guess that's the question.
That would require a reconfiguration of everything, which we have already exhausted is not an option for this location, unfortunately, based on not just the antennas, but also the power box. So we've evaluated.
That's what we needed to hear the first time when we asked the question.
Okay. I'm sorry if I didn't address.
No, you definitely didn't say that.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Okay, got it. So are you clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Finally.
All right. So that said, is there a motion on this? Okay. Okay, so a motion by Commissioner Garcia to deny the appeal, seconded by Commissioner Caloza. Any objection to that? All right, that'll be the order. Thank you, Mr. Rapinski, for your time. Thank you, Ms. Kimpeng, and thank you for finally getting us to the bottom of that. Agenda item number 8 is a revocable permission for encroachment in the public right-of-way to the Santa Monica Canyon Civic Association. This is in Council District 11 to install a planting project on the median located at Mesa Road and West Channel Road, recommending that the board first authorize the Office of Community Beautification to grant revocable permission to encroach within the public right-of-way, subject to listed conditions to the Santa Monica Canyon Civic Association. The encroachment, the installation of drought-tolerant plants and stone borders and pathways on the median island located at Mesa Road and West Channel Road in the Santa Monica Canyon in Council District 11. Secondly, authorize the city engineer to issue a no-fee revocable permit for work to be performed. Third, authorize the city engineer to issue a no-fee A permit for work to be performed. And fourth, authorize the Office of Community Beautification to request the Bureau of Contract Administration to provide a no-fee inspection of the project. Mr. Valito. I'm sorry, Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on this item.
Yes, thank you again. For the record, Arnold Ross Sachs. I'm thinking two things. One, that the Santa Monica Canyon Civic Association is a homeowners association, and so they're asking permission to encroach in the public right-of-way. The encroachment needs to be granted by the community, by the Office of Community Beautification. Do encroachments on public right-of-ways, you don't grant the encroachment opportunity. You give the Office of Community Beautification the right to grant the encroachment on the public right-of-way, which would be the sidewalk. So if somebody asks for an encroachment to do some construction and they need to use the public right-of-way, you would not grant that encroachment. You would grant the particular office the ability to offer the encroachment. That would be correct, right? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Valito.
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners, and members of the board. Jerry Valito, Adopt a Median Program Manager with the Office of Community Beautification. For almost 30 years, the Adopt a Median Program has assisted community groups in navigating the city process and undertaking community improvement projects within the public right-of-way. As mentioned, board approval is being requested for a proposed Adopt a Median project submitted by the Santa Monica Canyon Civic Association in Council District 11. The proposal is the improvement of the median located at Mesa Road and West Channel Road by planting drought-tolerant plants and the installation of stones and concrete on the border and in the pathways of the median. This has been a highly anticipated project by the Santa Monica Canyon Civic Association and hopefully one of the first of more collaborations with this group. Support for this project has been provided by Councilmember Bonin of the 11th Council District, and the plans for this project have been reviewed and approved by the Bureau of Street Services. We at this time do request that this project be adopted by the board so that we may move on to the permitting phase of the process.
Any questions at all?
I just have a basic one.
Yes, Commissioner Garcia.
Thank you, President James. Jerry, will the Santa Monica, Canyon Civic Association be maintaining this for how long?
Yes, Commissioner. As with any Adopt a Median project, they have to sign a maintenance agreement to maintain the project in perpetuity. In regards to the irrigation, that's already been set up with Bureau of Street Services as far as ensuring that the irrigation is in working order.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, no other questions? Commissioner Garcia has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 8, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 8. Any issue sending number 8 forthwith? We'll send number 8 forthwith. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Have a great weekend.
Agenda item number 9 is a sole source procurement process equipment for the Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant, preliminary treatment improvements, capital improvement project, and Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant sodium hypochlorite facility relocation, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to sole source the selection of the equipment listed in the agenda notice for an amount not to exceed $1.135 million for the LAGWRP Preliminary Treatment Improvements Project. Secondly, authorize the city engineer to sole source the selection of the equipment under item number 2 for an amount not to exceed $335,000 for the LAGWRP Sodium Hypochlorite Facility Relocation Project. And third, authorize the city engineer to negotiate a price agreement with FlowServe, Evaqua, Milliken, Crony, and the Weir Group, Prominent, and Rotork for the above referenced pumps, flow meters, actuators, valves, and instruments which will be procured and installed by the general contractor awarded the construction project. Mr. Shaw, this is one of those where the hip bone's connected to the thigh bone, recognizing that we're working with a bunch of different, a bunch of different entities that are all part of one puzzle. On number 9, Mr. Sachs. Mr. Sachs. Mr. Sachs isn't here. Mr. Shaw, go ahead.
Good morning, Nadir Shah, Bureau of Engineering, Environmental Engineering Division. The Capital Improvement Project CIP 4185, Preliminary Treatment Improvement, and Capital Improvement Project 4200, Sodium Hypochlorite Facility Relocation, will be undertaken at the Los Angeles Glendale Water Reclamation Plant located in Council District 4. The handout distributed shows the approximate location of the two CIPs 4185 and 4200, as well as the picture figures of the various sole source equipment and an isometric view of the two projects. The improvements under these two projects will require the procurement of sole source equipment, including pumps, valves, flow meters, actuators, mixing systems, and instrumentation. These sole source equipment are necessary to match the existing equipment, also to minimize the modification required for installation. They have proven performance. Some of these equipments are being used for over 40 years. Also, LSN's effort to standardize some of the equipments which are already used at other treatment plants to reduce the cost, as well as minimal or no additional training required for the operation and maintenance of these equipments. PRC approved $7.24 million in April 2018 for CIP 4185. PRC also approved $2.33 million in November 2018 for CIP 4200. BOE and LSN recommend that the board authorize the city engineer to sole source the equipment described in the board report for an amount not to exceed $1.135 million for CIP 4185, and to sole source the selection of equipment for an amount not to exceed $335,000 for the CIP 4200, and to negotiate a price agreement with the manufacturers described in the board report. And these equipments will be procured and installed by the general contractor awarded the construction project.
Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Mr. Jordan, so it's what we've got a number of different parts from a number of different manufacturers. These parts have been working together for what, 30, 40 years, Mr. Shaw? Okay, we need to replace them, obviously, so we've got a number of sole source procurement requests here. Is this a process and a procurement method that is okay with your office and square with us in the code?
Yes, it is. I've read through the report somewhat carefully. There's a variety of different components, as you've said. There's sort of a variety of different justifications. In some cases, they're replacing the existing equipment in a way to minimize the hip bones connected to the leg bone type changes, so they don't have to they can do minimal station modifications. Other components they're replacing with like-kind parts to further their efforts at standardizing their operations, which has operation and maintenance benefits in addition to permit compliance benefits. There's other parts that they're using which, if they were to use a different manufacturer's parts, it could jeopardize certain warranties that exist. So each of these parts described in the report have one or more of those different justifications, and we concur with their recommendations.
Okay. Any other questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 9, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Thank you, Mr. Shaw. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 9. Any issue sending number 9 forthwith? We'll send number 9 forthwith. Thank you. Agenda item number 1, Council District 15, Task Order Solicitation number 48, Harrison Associates, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task to Harrison Associates from the pre-qualified on-call consultants list to provide pre-design engineering, design, and engineering construction support services for the Alameda Street widening from Anaheim Street to Harry Bridges Boulevard project, as stated in task order number 48, with a budget authority of $1,862,724, which includes contingency. Mr. Sachs on number 1. All this work, and we're just now at number 1. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yes, thank you again. For the record, Arnold Ross Sachs. Again, aces, I'm telling you. A couple things here. I would recommend a change to this item that instead of on call, it says on speed dial call. Very important. And these pre-qualified, how many bureaus actually have pre-qualified lists? I noticed there was one for Bureau of Street Services. There's one for Bureau of Engineering. There's no RFP then, because if it's a pre-qualified firm, there's no RFP issued. And then the construction. Do they hire an outside contractor or a general contractor to do the work? I believe I heard the city attorney mention something about a warranty. So if some parts are put in by a general contractor and not by the contractor who would have the part warranty, like if you take your car if you buy a car from General Motors and you take it to your mechanic and they put parts in that car, it kind of voids a warranty because it's not done by General Motors. So it's very important that you make sure that you follow the warranty steps that are involved in the projects if you want to maintain the warranty on the parts that you're putting in your car. I would imagine the same thing would go for the city projects, that if you don't uphold the chain of command with a warranty, then you lose the warranty conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chen.
Good morning. Still good morning, almost. I'm Steve Chen with Bureau of Engineering.
You got another item too, so you'll be with us.
Good afternoon.
Go ahead, Steve.
Asking for authority to issue this task to Harrison Associates. This project, just to let you know, is going to improve Alameda from Harry Bridges to Anaheim, and this is in City 15 in Wilmington community. This is a very much needed project. As you can see, the picture attached in the board report shows that it's kind of the condition of the roadway there. It's really needs to be addressed. This is a heavily used corridor by the port. A lot of freight is being transported along this roadway. We definitely needed this project to move forward. As far as the consultant process, we advertised this to our on-call list of 10 consultants. We had 3 consultants respond. We evaluated all the responses and decided that based on their qualifications and experience and their presentation to us, that Harrison Associates was the most qualified for this task. The task will include the pre-design, design services. It also requires some striping, traffic signalization, utility mapping, working with the railroad and signal relocation, and also technical assistance during construction. So with that, we recommend to award this to Harrison Associates.
Thank you, and the participation numbers look good as well.
Yes, right.
Any questions? Commissioner Close has made a motion that we adopt agenda item number 1. I'll second it along with Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 1. Thank you, sir. Any issue sending number 1 forthwith? We'll send number 1 forthwith. That takes us to number 2, contract award Clark Contracting Corporation for the Terabella Street at Fenton Avenue Improvements Project in Council District 7. Recommending that the board first declare Clark Contracting Corporation to be the lowest responsible bidder and award Clark a contract for the project for $735,787.50 with a not-to-exceed limit of $791,200.30, which includes contingency. And secondly, authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Mr. Sachs, do you want to talk on number 2? All right, thank you. Mr. Sachs waives number 2. Mr. Chen, you're here on number 2.
Thank you. Steve Chen, Bureau of Engineering. And this item is to request the award to Clark Construction. This project is a widening along Fenton and Terabella, CD7, CD7. We're actually widening the street on Terabella and Fenton by 20 feet. This is a very significant improvement to the community, and it serves the adjacent elementary school, the Fenton Avenue Elementary School, which basically there's no sidewalk for the children to walk to the school right now. So this is, again, a very long-awaited project, very much supported by the council office, and we wanted to get this started as soon as we can. So we recommend this to be awarded to Clark Construction.
Well, I can tell there's excitement for this project in the community because Commissioner Garcia over here is all very excited about it.
Yes, I am. I want to say that this corner has been asking for the sidewalk for years. I think almost like 15 years, I think. Yeah. Even the owners had moved out and new owners came in, I think. So I'm completely in support of this project, 100%.
Great, thank you.
Even the AB 1290 motion was from back when it was Councilmember Fuentes. But I would just note just for the record, this amount, the contract bid is 19% over the city's estimate.
Yes.
So it's a little bit high, and if it's over 15%, I always like to ask for a statement on the record. Were we a little low on that? Are you guys okay? It's still the low bid.
Yeah.
Are you guys okay with the amount?
Yes, under the circumstance, I think it is a little high, but we feel it's the best choice to award the contract now, just due to the circumstances. And we think maybe some of the bid estimates that we had could have been possibly a little higher, so that would have accounted for the difference.
Okay. Commissioner Davis.
So this project is an emergency?
Yes.
Okay. And in doing so, in terms of the construction of it, are there any MSMs on this project? Is this a locally funded project?
No, it doesn't. It's because it's being awarded through the Geotech on-call contractors list. It doesn't participate in the business inclusion program.
And it's also an emergency. So.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
All right. You good, Davis? Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Commissioner Davis is satisfied. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 2. Seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 2. Any issue sending number 2 forthwith? We'll send number 2 forthwith. Number 3, task order solicitation, Streets, LA. Number 30, CH2M Hill Engineering Incorporated, now Jacobs Engineering Group, to provide strategic planning services, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task to Jacobs, contract number C-129653 from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide consulting services for strategic plan development and support services as stated in TOS number 30 with a budget authority of $545,000, including contingency, and we have a summary of it as well. Mr. Sachs, are you wanting to be heard on number?
Again, I thank you for your time and attention. For the record, Arnold Ross Sachs. A couple things. So this is another engineering firm that has been swallowing up or swallowed up some other engineering firms. My concern is their resume. I did mention, I think last week, about AECOM, how they did some work up in Washington State at a nuclear power plant, and essentially the work that they are proposed or engineered on or consulted on turned out to be worse than the actual nuclear waste they were trying to get rid of. But yet they walked away with a couple of millions of dollars in consulting fees. So I'm wondering, do they do a resume search on projects that these engineering firms are consulting on to see exactly how they turned out? I mean, maybe in another part of the country or the western states, it's really not that difficult. If you go online, I'm sure they can find other projects. They could even find projects they've done for Metro. I mean, these companies seem to be married to the city and the county of Los Angeles and all the departments and agencies that exist in the county and the city, and even in the coalition of cities in the county. It would be really interesting to find out just exactly what their scorecard is for maybe 10 other projects before they're okayed for particular projects. We seem to be doing this wash, rinse, repeat routine too often, and I believe in Metro they mentioned they have $18 billion in engineering contracts outstanding at this moment. Whew. That's a lot of
Mr.
zeros.
Tang, you're here on numbers 3, 4, and 5. They're related in the sense that it's part of Streets LA's modernization initiatives. But let's take them one at a time. Go ahead with number 3.
Great, thank you.
To the extent you want to group them together, you can, but I've got to divide them up because I've got speaker cards.
Great, okay. Well, good afternoon now. My name is Kenneth Tang. I represent Street LA Engineering Services Divisions. I'm here before you to request authorization to issue task order number 30 with a budget authority of $545,500, including contingency. The primary focus for this task is to provide direction for our Bureau by developing a comprehensive strategic plan and benchmark against other leading agencies, and perform a gap analysis to identify area of improvements. The scope also includes developing Health of the Street Index, then develop a RFP for a scoring platform based on those indexes. Using this platform, the consultant is to develop a short-term and long-term street renewal plan. And just to give you a little background on the selection process, this task was posted on Babin on February 19, 2019 to all 24 firms. 3 firms respond on April 19, 2019. It was Jacob, Tetra Tech, and Parson. On May 8th and May 9th, we conducted an interview with all of the firms that responded. After careful consideration by our staff, Jacob was selected. They demonstrated they have a thorough understanding of the scope and have qualification and experienced team and a good understanding of city procedure and practices, and provide a good value to the city. And in regard to their participation level, Jacob pledged 7% MBE, 11% WBE, 18% SBE, and 18% EBE. And with that, we recommend that the board award this task to Jacobs.
Those are all those pretty good numbers. I know this is part of what I would call the vision for the future of Streets LA, of the new leadership, of which at least one of them is sitting here. Fred, welcome. And for what Streets LA can be for the region, most specifically for the city. Commissioner Davis?
Yeah, I just wanted to say in terms of this project, I appreciate the effort that Jacobs used to be CH2M Hill, that they put towards this. They always try to find a way for inclusion. Even, when it's not many opportunities, they still kind of eke out some opportunity for some, and they've done it here. And this is a great example of what I've always been talking about in terms of some of the prime contractors that come to do work with us. I love it when companies like this show us that it can be done.
Thank you, Commissioner Davis. I'll take that as a motion. I'll second it. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 3. Any issue sending number 3 forthwith? We'll send number 3 forthwith. Mr. Tang, here you are here on number 4. Task order solicitation number 31. This is for Tetra Tech to provide maintenance, operations, and improvement services, recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task to Tetra Tech, contract number C-129660, from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide consulting services for Streets LA maintenance, operations, improvement services, as stated in TOS number 31, that's transmittal number 1, with a budget authority of $229,890, including contingencies. And this will relate to our urban forest and tree data collection, which we've spoken about. Mr. Sachs on number 4.
Yes, Arnold Ross Sachs for the record. For the record, Arnold Ross Sachs. What's the word? Acronyms. I got that written down. Acronyms are very interesting sometimes also, because if you did an acronym of this, TerraTech, it would be TRAT and not Tetra, which kind of reminds me of the Ronald Reagan State Office Building, which is RRSOB. Just thought I'd pick that up. But I also wanted to point out that in the previous item, unfortunately, the solicitation part at the top says JOCOBS, and the actual order is to JACOB. I know it's nitpicking, but I also know that the language that we use, especially in politics, is really, really important. I got done in by the word "and." You won't believe that word. The power of the word "and." That's A-N-D.
Mr. Tang on number 4. Again, for the record, my name is Kenneth Tang. I'm representing Street LA Engineering Services Divisions. I'm here before you again to request authorization for TOS number 31, which is a maintenance operation improvement services with a budget authority of $229,890, including contingency. The primary focus for this task is to improve 2 essential functions for Street LA. The first is the street tree maintenance operations and the street sweeping operations. Let's start with street tree operation. For this portion of the task is to improve the street tree maintenance operation. We propose bringing consultant to identify the best-in-class method to collect these tree data and criteria for the software. And after determining these software, based on that finding, develop an RFP for the actual tree data collection and supporting software. The result from this inventory will be incorporated into the UFMP. And for the street sweeping operation, we propose to bring the industry expert to assess our existing street sweeping operations, then develop a strategy to optimize and prioritize our street sweeping operations. The scope also include recommending the best-in-class that enable real-time optimizations. Based on those recommendations, develop an RFP for the implementation of the strategy and supporting software to improve our street sweeping operations is also going to be developed by the consultant. To provide a brief background on the selection process, this was very similar to the previous task, but it was posted to all 24 firms, and only 2 firms responded to this solicitation. It's just Jacob and Tetra Tech. And we similarly conduct an interview for both firms, and after careful consideration, we conclude that Tetra Tech provide the most qualified and experienced team to deliver this task.
All right, thank you. Any questions? I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 4, seconded by Commissioners Davis and Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 4, two-thirds of the way there. Any issue sending number 4 forthwith? We'll send number 4 forthwith. Number 5 is the third of 3 for Streets LA today on this program. Task order solicitation number 32 for Somas and Associates to provide systems development and support services. Recommending that the board authorize the city engineer to issue the task to Somas, contract number C129662 from the pre-qualified on-call wastewater and environmental engineering services consultants list to provide consulting services to Streets LA systems development and support services as stated in TOS number 32, transmittal number 1, with a budget authority of $303,176, including contingency. This will relate to records management and asset management, as well as the GIS system. And Mr. Sachs, I don't have a card on number 5, so Mr. Tang, go ahead.
Great. Again, my name is Kenneth Tang. I'm representing Street LA and Engineering Services Divisions. And for this particular task, I'm here before you to request authorization for TOS 32 system development and operation, system development and support services, with a budget authority of $303,176, including contingency. As part of this modernization initiative, we are proposing to fill in some technology gap that we are currently facing. The primary focus for these tasks is to assess and implement several essential system and best practices. First is to assess the record management procedure and recommend a record management system. Then second is to assess asset inventory and recommend asset management system. Third is to assess current system and recommend GIS functionality and best practices for the Bureau. And fourth is to assess the current project's scheduling protocol and recommend best-in-class schedule system aimed for road infrastructure. And based on the finding for these previous tasks, the consultant will work with the city staff to develop an RFP for a record management system, asset management system, and project scheduling system. And the procedure for contract selection, similar to the other two, we had posed to all 24 firms, and for this particular, there was 4 firms responded to this task: Jacob, Mars Services, Tetra Tech, and Somas. On May 8th, we conduct interview with all firms, and after careful consideration, we concluded that Somas provide the most qualified and experienced team to deliver this task. And for this task, Somas pledged 22% MBE, 9% WBE, 9% SBE, 9% EBE, and 22% DVBE. And with that, we recommend that you adopt and allow us to issue this task.
Thank you, Commissioner Caloza.
Thank you, President James. I just thought it might be nice to also reiterate the reasoning about why Somas was ultimately your choice, right? Can you explain a little bit more about why you picked Somas, and if the assessment were to conclude that Streets LA needs their own GIS system, and how that would coordinate with a larger system right now that we use called Navigate LA?
Right. So the reason why we selected Somas is the past experience working with Bureau Engineering, especially helping develop some of the component of Navigate LA. And during this entire assessment, if the Somas find that it is to our best interest to use Navigate LA as a primary portal for our GIS need, then we would go ahead and go with that recommendations. We have no qualm against that. And finally, the GIS component of this is we wanted to more look into the best practices. Sometimes GIS is a very powerful tool, but our staff, we want to make sure that they take advantage of the system itself.
Mr. Fred, go ahead.
Thank you very much. My name is Fred Musavipur, Assistant Director of Street LA. Just to answer your question, the core of this task is asset management, and that's the main core, and everything else is supporting that. And they have a lot of expertise in creating asset management programs for other cities, and that's why we selected them. And of course, they have worked with other bureaus, Bureau of Engineering, other places, and in terms of GIS, so we wanted to have not to do duplicate work. And that also was another advantage of selecting them, and they were meeting our goal requirement in terms of timeline, and that's another reason why.
Thank you for answering that. Yeah, I just, and I thank you for the briefing the other day, and it was really helpful to understand that the goal was to assess and, if needed, if the ultimate recommendation is to create another system, that it would be there to supplement what's already in place, just because you do have a lot of assets that you're trying to collect and modernize with Streets LA, which is, a tremendous effort. And just a quick note, I do really appreciate this graphic. It's really helpful, so thank you for this as well.
Yes, kudos on the graphic and the summary, very helpful. Commissioner Davis.
Haven't we done work with Somos before?
A lot.
Oh, I thought so. I have no questions about their performance and potential to do great work, but what I want to mention today is the same thing I mentioned about Jacobs, is that I also appreciate that in addition to the quality of work that they're going to produce, that they have been conscientious in achieving some inclusion as well. Right, exactly. So I appreciate that. I thank Jacobs for what they did, and I did not want to go without doing the same here.
So just to add one more thing regarding all three tosses, the companies that were selected, we wanted to make sure they have global experience. And they have done this, they have expertise in other areas, not only in the United States, but other areas, other countries. And so we wanted to get the best technology and be able to evaluate all of that and have all at disposal, so we can, when we bring the recommendation to the board, we coming in with something that is really effective and state-of-the-art technologies. So that was taken into consideration.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Davis. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 5, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 5. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 5 forthwith? We will send number 5 forthwith. That moves us to number 10, contract award in Council District 11 and Council District 8. Los Angeles Engineering Incorporated for the Glider Avenue and Wiley Post Avenue, Subsidence, Boeing Avenue, and 78th Street intersection reconstruction, and 35th Street between Gramercy Place and Cimarron Street subsidence project. Recommending that the board declare the Los Angeles Engineering, LA Engineering, haven't seen them in a while, the first bidder to be the lowest responsible bidder, and award LA Engineering a contract for the project for $871,000. Secondly, authorize myself or 2 members of the board to execute the contract after approval as to form has been obtained from the city attorney. Mr. Sachs on number 10. Mr. Sachs on number 10. Mr. Chen on number 10.
Steve Chen, Bureau of Engineering, and just move this here a bit. So yeah, this is a request to award 3 projects into one contract. And as you mentioned, the 3 locations are 2 of them are in CD 11, which is the Glider Avenue, Wiley Post, and the Boeing Avenue and 78th Street. Those 2 are projects that have intersection flooding, and basically the intersection needs to be reconstructed to address the flooding on those intersections. And on CD8, we have 35th Street between Gramercy and Cimarron, and that street has about a 120-foot section of it has subsided over time, and so it's also creating an issue with runoff and flooding. And so we're going to address that one and also replace the curb gutter and sidewalk along with the street. So on this one, we received 3 bids. The low bid was about, again, it's pretty high, a little bit, about 20% high.
Looks like you got 2 bids.
We had 3.
American Asphalt
sorry.
and LA Engineering.
I'm sorry, wait. Okay, yeah, correction, yeah, two bids, I was misreading it. Okay, yeah, two bids. And
We
again,
didn't have
like-
a lot of choice here.
Yeah, not a lot of choice.
And there was a big delta between the two.
Right, big delta, and it's still a little bit higher than our city engineer estimate. We think, we're looking through the bids, we think that part of the reason I think is just because there's 3 different locations. It's just maybe a little more effort for the contractors to bid on it. And also, we try to actually avoid that by combining the projects because we felt that a smaller project on its own would have a difficult time receiving good bids. So this was an effort to try to help that, but even that, I think it's still a relatively small amount of work. It's just, I think we're seeing a lot of escalation in prices right now with the bids. So we talked about this internally and felt that still was a good idea to award this contract. We have enough funding to support it, and so we feel, based on the need for the projects and the issues that they present, that we should award this contract at this time.
Well, we got flooding issues, and now that we've already been out there, I don't want our inaction to create liability issues either.
And we don't think that if we went out to bid again, that we wouldn't feel any confidence that we could need better bids than we got today. So,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 10, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 10. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any issue sending number 10 forthwith? We'll send number 10 forthwith. Agenda item number 11, Council District 14, construction order budget increase and issuance of revised construction order to Spinello Company for the emergency sewer repair North Outfall Sewer Unit 9, First Street and Mission Road project. Recommending that the board authorize a revised construction budget of a not-to-exceed amount of $3,500,000 for the project, and authorize the city engineer to issue a revised construction order to Spinello Company to complete the project. Mr. Jensen. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Brad Jensen with the Bureau of Engineering, Wastewater Conveyance Engineering Division. So this project will rehabilitate about 370 feet of 54-inch sewer in Mission Road at First Street. It will also purchase pipe to expedite the arrival of that pipe for a capital project that is also
One moment, Mr. Jensen, one moment. I've got a speaker card from Mr. Sachs. Mr. Sachs, are you here on number 11? Mr. Sachs? Mr. Sachs? Go ahead, Mr. Jensen.
Okay. So again, it'll repair 370 feet of pipe in Mission, as well as purchasing some additional pipe for a capital project between First and Aliso. The NOS in this area was built back in the 1920s, and as you may know, recently there's been a number of emergency projects and capital projects in this area. In late 2018, LA San re-inspected this section of sewer and determined that the condition at First and Mission had deteriorated to the point where we needed to do an emergency sewer repair. Therefore, the scope of that emergency was removed from the capital project, and an emergency project contract was initiated. The city engineer, following the established ESR on-call contract process, requested cost proposals from the top 5 contractors on the ESR on-call contractors list. The cost proposals were received on February 19th, and they were reviewed. Spinello submitted the lowest bid at $3,178,948. The project cost exceeds the city engineer's estimate or authority to issue an ESR construction order. Therefore, on March 6th, Commissioner Garcia was briefed and authorized the emergency request of additional budget for the project. A construction order for $495,000 was issued to Spinello on February 19th to initiate the work on this emergency project. To date, the site has been secured by installing plates along the sewer alignment, and the new slip liner has been ordered. Funding in the amount of $3,500,000 is available in the sewer capital fund. In addition, LA San Community Service Group has been in communication with CD14 and has provided information on traffic control plans, schedules, and other related details. Ongoing coordination with CD14 and also as well as the community will take place throughout the construction phase of this project. And as such, the city engineer requests the recommendation to revise the construction budget to not exceed $3.5 million and authorize the city engineer to issue the revised construction order to Spinello to complete this emergency repair.
Thank you, sir. Any questions? I don't have any questions. I know we've been doing a lot of this work. I'll make a motion that we adopt agenda item number 11, seconded by Commissioner Garcia. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda item number 11. Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Have a nice weekend. Any issues sending number 11 forthwith? We'll send number 11 forthwith. Dr. Campos, does that mean we have cleared the desk on the regular meeting?
Yes, you have.
Okay, then we are adjourned for the regular meeting. We have a special meeting this morning. Dr. Campos, call the roll, please.
We do have a special. Fernando Campos, Executive Officer. For the special meeting for today, Friday, June 28th, we have Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner James, Commissioner Davis, and Commissioner Caloza. President James, you do have a quorum. We did receive speaker cards on items number 1 and 2, and plus we also received 2 emails, one from the Village Mart in Delhi and the second from LA Hillside Village Property Owner Association. Both are in support of item number 1, and those have been distributed to all commissioners.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call special 2 first. Authority for Expenditure, Outfront Deco Street Furniture, LLC, Bureau of Engineering and the Office of Accounting, requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure. By the way, we don't have any, no general public comment cards on the special, correct?
Correct.
Okay, we'll close general public comment on the special, as well as the neighborhood council category of commentary. Again, Bureau of Engineering and Office of Accounting requesting board approval and execution of an authority for expenditure in the amount of $150,000 to encumber funds for the removal and installation of 5 transit shelters, including electrical connection and footing by Outfront Deco Street Furniture, LLC, at the following locations: northbound Crenshaw, near site 29th Street, southbound Crenshaw, far side Adams, eastbound Jefferson, far side Crenshaw, westbound Jefferson, far side Crenshaw, westbound Santa Rosalia, near site Buckingham, as part of the Prop 1C Crenshaw Boulevard Improvement Project. On special 2, Mr. Sachs.
Yes, thank you again. For the record, Arnold Ross Sachs. So these would be items referring to the Crenshaw project, which is the rail project. Why are you not involving the Crenshaw Corporation that was created by MTA to do the actual oversight of the Crenshaw project? They specifically created the Crenshaw, I believe it was a nonprofit, but they specifically created a Crenshaw oversight, not a construction authority, mind you, which would have needed maybe the state's approval, but a general oversight, something like that. And you wonder why they didn't do that with the other rail lines and skip the state involvement and only do that for Crenshaw. There's some shifting of money around here that would require, I don't know, maybe a backhoe operator to carry all that cash. It's not quite as much as the marijuana sales tax revenue that's coming in, but it's a lot of money. It's always a lot of money when it comes to transit projects. Probably over $1 billion or so, for sure, because they wouldn't waste time on anything less than that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Our representative on agenda item number 2, that's Mr. Drucker this morning. Thank you for your patience, sir.
Thank you, President James. Good morning, or actually, no, good afternoon. Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners. Neil Drucker, Bureau of Engineering. As President James indicated, this is a recommendation from the Bureau of Engineering approved by the by the Bureau of Accounting, Office of Accounting, to recommend that we issue an AFE, Authority for Expenditure, to Outfront Deco for the removal and installation of 5 transit shelters in the area of Crenshaw Boulevard. This is part of not the rail project. This is part of a state-funded Prop 1C project to improve some 28 intersections along Crenshaw Boulevard. This is also separate from the Destination Crenshaw project, which I think Mr. Sachs was referring to, which is also, as I said, a separate project, but we are working together. As you may know, the city has an exclusive contract with Outfront Deco for all of our transit shelters throughout the city. They work closely with us, as well as Street Services and LA Department of Transportation. Each year, actually, Outfront DECA does a series of free relocations as required under that contract. They have exceeded those numbers, so therefore we do have to pay them for this services. The $150,000 would include the removal of not only the transit shelters, but also the electrical systems and foundations, and then relocation and installation of 5 new transit shelters. The reason that they have to do this is we are replacing, as part of the Prop 1C project along Crenshaw, curb cuts and curb ramps for ADA accessibility, as well as relocating traffic signals and lightings as necessary. And in these 5 intersections, which have been completed from a standpoint of the ADA improvements, in order to complete the remainder of the improvements, we have to relocate those transit shelters. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Drucker. Commissioner Garcia.
Yeah, thank you. Hi. I have a question. Since we're relocating, do you have where they're going to be located now, or are they just going to be removed from the area?
No, they will be replaced. Actually, each one that we remove, we will be replacing, or Outfront DECA will be replacing them. So you're not losing any, or we're not losing any transit shelters. They'll just be relocated anywhere from 5 to 15 feet away from where they currently are now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a motion that we adopt Special 2, seconded by Commissioners Garcia and Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt Special 2. Any issue, sending it forthwith? Thank you, Mr. Drucker. We'll send it forthwith. That takes us to Special 1. Soto Street roadway widening project from Multnomah Street to Mission, I may have mispronounced that, to Mission Road project, California Environmental Quality Act, compliance and project approval in Council District 14. Recommending that the board, following the requirements of CEQA, adopt and forward the report and transmittals to the City Council with the following recommendations. 1, review and consider the mitigated negative declaration, M&D. Secondly, find that on the basis of the whole record, there is no substantial evidence that the project will have a significant effect on the environment, and that the M&D reflects the city's independent judgment and analysis. Third, adopt the M&D. Fourth, approve the project as described in the initial study. And fifth, adopt the mitigation monitoring program. I will just mention for the record, we do have letters of support, one from the Village Mart and Deli, and one from the LA Hillside Village Property Owners Association, and I received word from the Chief of Staff of Council District 14. They support this going forward as well. Mr. Sachs, you have a card in on number 1, Special 1.
Yes, thank you very much again. For the record, Arnold Ross Sachs. A couple of things here. So the distance involved in this street widening, they mentioned there's no CEQA. Will they be tearing up any of the roadway? Will that create any kind of undesirable effect that, you know, concrete or road stuff or any of that stuff will end up in we talk about as particulate matter that could be breathed in. Will there be any bus shelters that will be removed or added to this project? And the bus shelters, if and or they're added, will allow for revenue to be generated from advertising, which essentially goes to the council district. By the way, who is funding this change in the road widening? But the shelter advertisement that goes to the council district, shouldn't that be applied? It's another one of those funding operations for that particular council district, CD 14, that nobody really pays attention to, but yet they get tons and tons of money through all these different, what are they called? I want to say allotments, but they just did a story about that in the newspaper. Different revenue sources for essentially this lack of intelligence up here between my ears, but these different revenue sources that go into the council districts stay in the council districts, but they stay in the council district office. It's not just the council district, it's the office. And again, it's one of those language things that you really, if you really want to do something about your neighborhood, you have to pay attention, especially if you don't necessarily live in a property owners association or a homeowners association. But you can actually create those if you talk to your councilman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sachs. Dr. Williams, Dr. Tom Williams. Thank you for your patience. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Dr. Tom Williams, Citizens Coalition for a Safe Community, LA 32 Neighborhood Council, Sierra Club, and a few others. We find that the mitigated neg deck for the Soto Street widening is incomplete and inadequate. Why? Number one, it's funded now by the SR 710 Measure R funds. And this is not related in any documents that we have found so far. And since it is part of a package, that is the Soto Street intersection, the Soto Street widening, and the Soto Street bridge, this is a piecemealing. And we actually call it the Fremont bypass because it's the only north side connector that goes between the 110 and the I-10. So we're quite concerned regarding the adequacy of this document. There's also a matter that the mitigation monitoring plan is inadequate because it doesn't include reporting. And this is going to go on for at least 2 years that I know of. And we need to have it reported to the LA 32 Neighborhood Council and appropriate local community agencies. There's also a matter that the Ascot Hill slopes down to Soto Street. It has landslides on it right now. There's inadequate discussion of the slope stability of the highly unstable slopes and actual effective monitoring of the slopes to identify any slope failure that may occur. We're also looking at fossils, and that's my specialty, and the geological rendering of the retaining wall.
2 minutes.
These are not covered adequately. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Williams. Nikos Katselis. Thank you, sir, for your patience. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Nikos Katselis. I represent 8 property owners that will be affected by the Soto Street widening project. I'm one of those property owners. Our access to the street, as planned now, will be blocked, and we will be unable to develop our properties, potentially losing millions of dollars. We commend the Public Works Department for working with us to find a solution, and we believe we found one that will develop the street as the city wants, and at the same time provide access to our properties. However, we are disappointed by the city's response memorandum that effectively states that our individual rights as property owners are not community rights, therefore do not fall under the CEQA requirements. We are encouraged by the Supreme Court decision 2 weeks ago that ruled individual owners can bypass local jurisdictions and litigate in federal courts. We may consider that option. We ask that the city expands the scope of this project to provide vehicle parking surface along the project so we can access and develop our residential properties. In summary, we are proponents of this project. I think it's great for the community, but we're asking that it's developed contingent on maintaining the access that we currently have on our properties. I have some graphs that I can leave with you, or I can email them. I already communicated those to the Public Works.
You can leave them anything with our executive officer that's here. Okay? Those are copies for us?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Katselis. Those are all the speaker cards I have. Ms. Lau?
Good afternoon, Shirley Lau with the Bureau of
And
Engineering.
Ms. Martin? Go ahead.
Shirley Lau with the Bureau of Engineering Bridge Improvement Division. The proposed project is located in the northeastern part of Los Angeles along Soto Street between Multnomah Street and Mission Road. Soto Street serves as a corridor connecting cities to the north two communities of Lincoln Heights, Boyle Heights, and El Sereno. The existing conditions of the street consist of just 3 traffic lanes, 2 in the northbound direction and 1 in the southbound direction. There's no center median. There is curb, gutter, and sidewalk on the west side of Soto Street, and only curb and gutter, but no sidewalk on the easterly side. Traffic analysis shows that the capacity in the southbound direction of Soto is inadequate along the entire segment, mainly because as we approach Multnomah, the roadway narrows, and this restricts the southbound traffic to 1 lane and resulting in reduction of traffic capacity. In the northbound direction on Soto Street, you do have sediment and debris from the adjacent hillside that erodes onto the existing roadway during storm events, and that poses a potential hazard for vehicles. So in summary, I just wanted to say that the needs of the area is we need to relieve traffic congestion along Soto, improve the efficiency of the regional traffic circulation, and increase safety, and also incorporate multimodal transportation features. Now, our proposed project is the widening, which would increase capacity, and it would be configured to 2 southbound traffic lanes, 2 northbound traffic lanes, 2 protected bike lanes, 1 4-foot striped median, a wider sidewalk, approximately 2,500 linear feet of that on the west side, and approximately 2,700 linear feet of new sidewalk along the east side. The project would implement Green Street elements, including infiltration basins with planting, as well as approximately 2,500 feet of new storm drains. Other elements included are retaining wall for the east side hillside area, undergrounding utilities, street trees, improving existing signalization at the intersection of Multnomah and Soto. We will require additional right-of-way and permanent easements for this project due to the widening and also due to the retaining wall. In general, I think this project would improve public access. It'll improve connectivity for the communities. Traffic circulation will improve. Also, safety improvements for the hillside area. We have multimodal improvements that are definitely beneficial for the community. The Bureau of Engineering has reached out to the community. We've held community meetings, and in general, the communities are supportive of this project. I'll ask now my colleague Maria Martin to speak about public participation and review of the MND.
Thank you, Ms. Lau. Good morning, Ms. Martin.
Good morning, Commissioners. The city...
good afternoon. Sorry about that.
Rather, yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know. Habit. Go ahead.
Good afternoon. The city prepared an initial study and proposed mitigated negative declaration. The document was published for public review for a public review period from July 5th to August 6, 2018. The initial study included mitigation measures for air quality to reduce air pollution, biological resources related to protected trees and potential nesting birds, hazards and hazardous materials for and earth-moving activities and for soil transport, and also included mitigation measures for cultural resources, archaeological and paleontological and tribal resources. With the incorporation of these mitigation measures, the impacts were found to be less than significant. 9 correspondences commenting on the initial study, proposed mitigated negative declaration, were received during the public review period. None of the comments received necessitated changes in the conclusion or the findings of the initial study and in the mitigation measures. The documents were available in several locations, including libraries within the neighboring community, the Bureau of Engineering, and also online at the Bureau's website. As I indicated earlier, mitigation measures have been included in the project that reduce potential impacts to less than significant, and as such, we are recommending the recommendations that you've already read into the record for adoption of the mitigated negative declaration and the other recommendations read into the record.
How long will the project take?
After adoption of the CEQA, we require probably 6 more months to finish the design, and then we expect to go to bid and award in late 2020.
Okay. Just recognizing the pretty much general support. I mean, there are a couple of comments of concern that we heard, of course. But I would just encourage you to stay in touch with the council office and the community, as we always do on these projects, as you go through the various phases. Because you know, when we find ways of reaching consensus, we always end up with a better product at the end of the day. Commissioner Davis?
The funding, where's the funding of this project coming from?
The funding came in, the funding is provided by Metro. They require a local match. So the total budget is $35.5 million. 3.2 is required local match from LA DOT's Prop C. It did come in from two different pots in Metro, but the entire amount is from Metro.
All right, thank you. Anything further? Thank you. Sorry that we had to have you all wait so long, but it was a special and I need to adjourn one before I do the other. I'll make a motion that we adopt special 1, seconded by Commissioner Davis. Any objection? Without objection, we'll adopt agenda special item 1. Any issue sending 1 forthwith? We'll send 1 forthwith. Thank you all, and
Thank you.
Thank you for your continued work with the community and the council office on this. Thank you, everybody. Dr. Campos, have we cleared the desk?
Yes, you have.
All right, then we are adjourned this afternoon. Have a nice weekend, everyone. We are out. We're dark next week for recess. So we will see you all on
Monday, July the 8th.
Monday, July the 9th.
8th.
Monday, July the 9th. Thank you.